One of the things that God always tells me is that we are living in a society that's based on an old story. Story is how we create. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was made flesh, right? So, uh, the mission I'm on is to help activate a new story for humanity. And the people on earth that are doing that are trailblazers. They're paradigm changers. They're people reshaping how we see and understand industries, how we see and understand who we are in our communities, who we are as business leaders, etc. And so all the people that I serve are people that usually they're going along in life and life is good. And then something happens. They wake up to this deeper calling. Hey, I'm meant to do this thing in the world. And usually for my clients, the thing they're called to do is pretty left of center. It's not like your everyday thing that other people are doing. In fact, it's usually something nobody else is doing. And they come to me saying, I know I meant to do this. I don't know how to shape it. I don't know how to package it. I don't know how to message it so I can bring it to the market and make the change I'm here to make. And all the work I do is in helping to really be a translator of that calling into commerce and into their business and into the world.
Ooh, I love that. I love that language right there at the end is like the translator aspect into commerce, because I think a lot of times people think God calling isn't connected necessarily to business, right? They
Yeah.
think that it's just like their purpose, their ultimate purpose, and that they can live their purpose within any facet or way, shape, or form, which I believe. But I found, based on the trailblazer aspect, that entrepreneurship or business or commerce are connected to our ultimate mission. And I
Yeah.
love the rewriting of the narrative and the story that's been, perpetual for decades. I could say thousands of years, really.
Yeah.
But it's this knowing that there is, I believe, a rising of these kingdom entrepreneurs and people who are wanting to step into the mission field on message. And I love what you're speaking to.
Yeah. Let me give you one quick example just to
Yeah.
presence it. Like one of my clients right now is a very accomplished real estate developer. And you would think that real estate is designed to house people, right? Uh, he has this calling. He said, Jeffrey, I know I'm meant to use real estate to help people self actualize, to help them become a better version of themselves that can contribute more to society. Now, how do these two worlds come together? Right? Like real estate and self-actualizations, you don't
Yeah.
normally put them in the same, in the same sentence, let alone the
Yeah.
same book. Um, but really, as we get into it, it's about so we're creating a team right now of neuroscientists and color theorists and lighting technologists who know how to create lighting that works with your circadian rhythms. Because one of the things that he heard in his calling is that he is meant to help people decelerate, to
Wow.
to get present,
Wow.
right? And that there's all this technology we can build into real estate to help people do that. Let alone, maybe instead of a TV room, there's a yoga room, right? Maybe there's opportunities to help people just stop and breathe and take a moment. And if they were doing that on a regular basis, because where do they spend most of their time? Home. What would transform in their lives and in
Wow.
their service in the world, right? So it's that kind of visionary thinking that, like, okay, now, that's something we definitely need to translate, first of all, to his investors to get them on board and get investors to want to start building this new form of real estate. And then messaging to consumers that, hey, there's another way to live and here's an opportunity. So that's just one small example of that. Like, okay, this is really trailblazing. This isn't happening in this sector, but it is definitely a new story for what real estate can be in this world.
No, I think that's brilliant. I'm like so eager. My husband is in like the real estate realm and contracting, and he's all about like net zero homes and energy efficiency. And I feel like the deceleration, imagine having something that actually works from the earth's energy versus all this electrical force things going on. I remember when everyone was super afraid of 5G when it came out, right?
Right.
And,
Yeah.
and so having that, I think, is a component of the deceleration. I also think that intuitive piece is really important. And honestly, if all of us could step in alignment with our emotional intelligence, our intuition, those are all God-given, components to who we are. It's not
Absolutely.
a secondary scientific piece that just happens by circumstance. He is a very intentional creative. And I think that's what's really neat about the line of work that we're both in, is that we get to lean into that creativity and that visionary side to be able to help extract for more people and build something that is abstract that nobody's ever seen before. What is that,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I get to do it on such a small level. Like I was thinking, I was so excited to see what you're going to say, because I have a lot of realtors who are drawn to how we show up in the world to help cultivate message and get people's messages out into the world. And it really is like people coming into this understanding that it's not that what we do for a business is wrong. It's that the intention behind it is bigger. And
Hmm.
how do you communicate a bigger intention when everyone's platforms are the same? And so I'd be
I
curious
love
from a
that.
messaging perspective, how do you help people develop that? Like to
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah. Um, so there's two ways I'll speak to. The first is what I call mission-based messaging. And I believe that people have their problems. Like, I don't have the house that I want to buy, and you can help, right? Like, that's the transactional piece. And alongside that is the transformation, who they can become in the process of you delivering the transaction. So if you think about like a T, right? Where they come together, there's no one else in the world that does that exact thing. I call it the 1 square inch you can drill a mile deep in the market. And when you understand, there's a bigger reason my people, for example, if I'm a real estate agent, want a home, right? What is that? Who are they wanting to become in the process of the transaction of, yes, I bought the house of my dreams, and right, but why do they want to buy it? And who are they called to become? I believe that all of our audiences have what I call a shared mission. My audience, everyone I serve, in their own way, are here to help activate a new story for humanity. Another client I have is one of the top dental hygienists in the country. Yes, right? Travels around the world, speaking at dental hygiene conferences, but her mission is to transform oral health care and senior care facilities because Medicare doesn't pay for it and elders are dying of dirty teeth. Right.
Brilliant.
So
Yeah.
there's like a bigger mission she's
Yeah.
up to. So if you think back to real estate, it's like, who do they want to become? And how do you name that thing in such a way that in your messaging, your audience would go, oh, that's me. I feel seen. I feel heard. I feel presence. Right.
Completely.
But
Yeah.
even more, I feel called forward
Yeah. It's
because
good.
all of our people want to become something more. It's always that innate desire for growth. And if we can name the evolutionary, the next version of who they're called to be in the world,
Yeah.
and tie that to the transactional promise we make in our business, now that's when you've got raving fans. That's when you've got people that follow you and stay part of your world and want to hear what you have to say year after year after year. I just ran a master class for my community. And at one point, to prove a point around messaging, I had people just raise their hand in the Zoom, right? How many of you followed me for 1 year? How many for 3? How many for 5? How many for 8? How many for 10? How many for 12? How many of you have been following me for 15 years? And there were still hands up, right?
Awesome.
So it's that kind of thing because it's
Yeah.
being a champion for your people.